Hi there, this is Srikant Dasari. So, welcome to lecture 1, Introduction to C Programming. So, let me give a little bit of information about me. I work as an assistant professor in Dr. LB College of Engineering, Visakhapatnam, which lies in the state of Andhra Pradesh in the southern part of India. So, in this lecture, we are going to study about the history, its origin, and application usage and applications of C programming language. Okay, so C programming language was created in the year 1972 by this gentleman known as Dennis Ritchie at AT&T Bell Labs, United States of America. So he works as a scientist in AT&T Bell Labs. So not only in C programming language, he has worked in a lot of many other projects like developing a Unix operating system. So you might wonder what is an operating system here. So operating system is a system software which works as an interface between the user and computer hardware. So nowadays we have rich operating systems like Windows 8 and Windows 7, and back in those days they only have command line interface. They don't have any GUI operating systems like Windows. They only used to have Unix operating system back in those days here. Okay, so this is the pic of PDP-7 system. Back in those days, the systems were not IBM systems were not as compatible like IBM PCs today's what we use here. So back in those days, the systems were very huge, were fitting in a entire room or something like that. The original Unix operating system, which was ported on PDP-7 computer, which you see in this pic. Okay, so this system is developed by Tech Digital Equipment Corporation, and at the scientists at AT&T Bell Labs used to work on these kind of systems on Unix on Unix operating system, which is entirely the kernel of that operating system was written in assembly language. Okay, so assembly language is a kind of language which is very specific to a particular processor. So for example, if you take a Jurat 5 microprocessor which has its own assembly language instructions, and the code differs hugely from the one architecture to another architecture. So this is a huge drawback of having the Unix operating system's kernel written in assembly level language. So then what happened is the C is considered as a high level language with some low level capabilities. So it's also referred to as a middle level language. So originally the C language, the intention of the developers of C language was to rewrite the entire kernel of Unix operating system in a high level language like C. Okay, so the problem of using assembly level language is that it is very tough to read and write, and it's also very slow in processing. And also, as we have mentioned earlier, the architecture of one processor is entirely different from the architecture of another processor. So there is no portability of this portability of uh, the language or the operating system you are using here. Okay, so the most creative period in the development of C language occurred in the year 1972. At that time, the great part of Unix kernel was being rewritten in C programming language. Okay, so by Dennis Ritchie and Ken Thompson, who is the another scientist at AT&T Bell Labs. Okay, so this is the pic of Dennis Ritchie and Ken Thompson, another scientist at AT&T Bell Labs, working on their PDP-11 system. So their intention was to rewrite the entire Unix kernel in order to make advantage of the PDP-11 systems a huge memory, and to interact with memory. So they are having their own drawbacks of using Unix kernel, which was written in assembly level language. So they have intended to write the entire kernel of this Unix operating system, which was ported in this PDP 11 system into using C here. Okay, so that gives them some level of advantage to interact with the hardware and to access the memory directly using the pointers and so on and so forth. Okay, so with this advent, the Unix became the very first operating system in the world to have its kernel written entirely in a high-level language like C. Okay, so if you summarize once again, or if you take the history, so originally there was programming language in the early 1960s called as ALGOL, okay, which is based on some algorithm kind of stuff, and then they have CPL, which was designed in the year 1963. So, and the subsequent years in the 1967, the CPL was retransformed or reincarnated in the form of a BPCL, and then which paved the way to design a B programming language by Ken Thompson, and C, our very own language, has been derived from this B language here. Okay, so C is takes the most influence from the B language, so that's the reason the designers of the C language, Dennis Ritchie, has named the language as C here. Okay, so in the late 70s and early 80s, the various versions of C language were being implemented on different platforms like mainframe computers, microcomputers, and mini computers. And with the introduction of this IBM PC, which you are seeing in this pic in the year 1981, so which is revolutionary in the desktop PCs or home PC market. Prior to that, they used to have Apple II. With the advent of IBM PC in the year 1981, so many people started buying personal computers. Okay, so the new market was born in the form of personal computers. So the industry has changed in a dramatic way, and the people and the C language in particular gained the popularity around the world here. Okay, so C language follows the structure or a paradigm called as procedural programming, which is a kind of paradigm in programming languages. So here we have a function which is divided into a number of subroutines, or also known as functions here. So here you have a main function, and you have many different functions which in turn call each other. Okay, so the main function is considered as the entry point. So even though you have 10,000 lines of code and hundreds of functions defined in your program, so you need to call all the functions, or you can consider the main as the entry point. So that's the reason in this diagram the main is shown in the top of all functions here. Okay, so each function contains its own data, its own instructions. Okay, and the function is executed whenever it's called either in the main function, or another function can call a function. Here if we take the example, the function 1 can call function 2, or else a function 1 can call function 4, and so on and so forth here. Okay, so if you stress more on procedure oriented procedural programming, so procedural programming is a list or set of instructions telling the computer what to do step by step here. Okay, and how to perform the first code and the second code. So here if you take the definition of the programming itself lies in the procedural programming. So the program is nothing but a set of instructions, and this paradigm, procedural programming, is nothing but a list or set of instructions telling the computer what to do step by step. Okay, and how to perform the code. Okay, the first code to the second code. So how to execute those subroutines or functions here. Okay, so this is based upon the concept called as procedural call here. Okay, so even though you have defined a procedure or routine or subroutine, a method or a function. So all the same, so all the things are the same. So in C perspective, it's better to use the name function rather than procedure. Okay. So the concept of procedure-oriented programming lies on the uh, procedural calls here. Okay. So if we go back to the previous example, so here the main is a function. The main itself is also a function, and here you have a lot of subroutines or sub functions. So each of them carries a specific task, and each of them can call other function, or all the functions can be called by the main program. So this is the basic underlying concept of procedure-oriented programming. The C strictly follows the procedural programming. Okay, so in contrast, we have object-oriented paradigm, which is followed by C++. Okay, so function you can define it as function can be simply defined as a series of computational steps or self-contained block of code. You can have the function definition like that. At any given point at the time of execution, the function might get called by the function, or a function can call itself, which is also known as recursion. So about the recursion, we will learn in the subsequent lessons here. Okay. So this shows the key features of C programming language. So if we take one by one, the first feature is fast and efficient here. Okay. So fast and efficient, which means that the programs were very compatible, and with less number of instructions, you can do quite a huge task in can achieve quite a huge task with less number of steps here. Okay, so that is the one of the key feature of C programming language, which is very fast and efficient. And the portability, which means that you can write a C code, a unique C code, and you can run on different architectures without any change, or with some minor changes. Okay, so this is the biggest advantage of using a C programming language, and this comes into picture where it entirely replaced the assembly language programming here. Okay, coming to the next feature here, the C programming language is function rich with libraries here. Okay, so libraries, in the sense, C contains a set of library functions which were written inside the header files. So in order to use those library functions, you need to add those header files in your program, and you can add those built-in functions into your program to do the specific tasks here. Okay, so next, coming to the next feature, which is modularity. So modularity is nothing but as we have discussed in the one of the main feature of procedure-oriented programming is that the whole program is converted into subroutines or functions. So this this gives you a new feature called as modularity. So with modularity, the debugging of your code, and to understand your code, and easy to extend your code, all these are the advantage of this modular approach, or the feature of C programming here. Okay, so it's easy to extend your C programs with a different scenario. So always you can extend your C programs whenever you need to add some more additional functionalities to your programs. It always makes it easy with the C language here. Okay, so the coming to the last feature here to discuss, the C consists of a rich set of operators and variety of data types. So C contains the basic data types like int, char, float, and double. So in order to that, it also has the various data types in the form of qualifiers. So like you can have long int and short int, and also you can have signed and unsigned integers. So with this makes the C with a very powerful set of operators and data types. The operators are nothing but which were used to perform some calculations. The operators were taken in between the operands, which is nothing but variables. Okay, so whenever you go into the subsequent lessons, we'll understand so how the operators come into picture. So this book, okay, so served as a basic reference to C programmers around the world. It was written in the year 1978 The title of the book is C Programming Language. This was written by the two gentlemen, Brian Koenig and the creator of the C programming language, Mr. Dennis Ritchie. So until in those days, they used to use this book as a holy Bible kind of thing to refer about the C programming language here. Okay. So later, ANSI, American National Standards Institute, and International Standards Organization came into picture, and in the year 1983, American National Standard Institute formed a committee in order to standardize the C language. So in the 1989, they came with a ratification of the C programming language, and they have renamed the renamed version of C known as C89 or ANSI C was released by American National Standards Institute here. Okay. So later in the later next year, in the year 1990, the same specification was approved by the International Standards Organization, which is international standard, and that specification was known as C90. Okay, so the same since they have approved the same specification which was given by ANSI in the year 1989. So both C89 and C90 versions of C language were used to refer the same specification here. Okay, so later in the year 1995, internationalized to extend. So International Standards Organization, with the support of a revised committee on the standards, released a version of a C language known as C99 in the year 1999. So since they have released in the year 1999, so it has got the name as C99 here. So the current and the most recent version of C language is C11, which was approved in the year 2011 December. Okay. So the influence of C language, either directly or indirectly, is very huge here. Okay, so C has influenced a whole lot of programming languages like C++, C Sharp, Java, PHP, Perl, Python. Now, all these languages derive their syntax from C language here. Okay, so perhaps the most influential languages which were influenced by the C language were C++ and Objective-C. So both of them were considered as superset and strictly superset of C programming language. So both of them were object oriented in nature, and they have taken the C-like syntax and added some object-oriented features to them, and so they have their own implementation in the object-oriented world here. Okay, so uses of C programming, the C is the mostly used for as a systems programming language, which is used to design operating systems and in the embedded systems applications, and also C is used to write device drivers, since it has access to hardware and memory directly, and also it consumes a low runtime demand on system resources. And C is also used in website programming like CGI, common gateway interface, which is used to transfer the information to and fro from the server and the browser. Okay, the C allows the efficient implementation of data structures like stacks and queues and linked lists, which is very useful to perform a lot of complex problems. Okay, the C also had a wide availability and efficiency, such that the interpreters of other programming languages were designed in C programming language. The most widely used were Python and Perl PHP. So all of their interpreters were implemented in C programming language. Okay. So this is the basic introduction to the history and its origin and usage of C programming language. Uh, so see you in the next lesson. Goodbye.